this up, if you were to add this up, so 5 plus 8.
Yeah, 13.
So then plus 9.
Yeah.
Which would be 22.
Yeah.
Plus 6. Which, and then plus 8.
36, yeah.
So 9, 18, 27, 36. It's a multiple of 9.
Yeah.
You see, so it's going to equal 9, 18, 27, and in extreme cases, which that just was, 36. It's never going to be higher than that.
But then 36, 3 and 6 together is 9. So you can always condense them
well,
down,
that's what we did. So all those numbers, if you take 9 on its own, will be 9. If you have a single digit, that's fine.
Yeah.
So if we're doing it with the 4 people, so I want to try something with everybody, and I honestly don't know if this is going to work or not. So all take your phones out for a second, and all head to your calculators. And keep the phones towards yourselves. Don't obviously let me see where it is that you're going to punch in. Now you're going to use a varied spread of the keypad. So what I don't want you to do is just go like 1, and then 2, and then 3. All punch in a random number from somewhere on your keypad. And now look at each other's numbers. Chances are you've got different numbers, right? Quickly press the times key, I won't look. And then hit in another random number. And then times it by another random number. And times it by another random number. Times it by another random number. And if you want, you can times it by another single digit. Done? So press equals and all look at each other's totals. You'll see that they'll be vastly different. I don't need to see them. Keep it towards yourself. I want you all in your heads just to add up each of those singular digits. So don't worry about anybody else's, but just add up each of those singular digits. And if you end up at a 2-digit number, add the 2 digits together so you each arrive at a single digit. Now hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. You done? 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 Done?
Yeah.
Erase your totals out of your phones and place them face down. So what we've just done there is created a random pin code with the group. You see, you have a number, you have a number, you have a number, and you have a number. I'm going to write down what numbers I'm picking up on. Now, I'm not necessarily going to get them in the right order, but I'm going to try my best to work out what they are. So in your head, you just imagine telling me yours. Okay, now you imagine telling me yours. You imagine telling me yours. And finally, yours. I think yours is the easiest.
Thank you.
Keep a straight face when I put it down. Don't react. This is what I'm getting. 2963. If I got your numbers, just raise your hands. Perfect.
That's so good.
So devious. I love it.
It's great, isn't it?
Could you do it a second time if people were like, do it again?
Yeah.
You said yeah.
It's repeatable.
Yeah. And then you were like, but you can hide the outcome. So can you show us?
Well, let's say that, because there's going to be a lot of people that aren't performing on 4 people, because it's sometimes an inaccessible number. I'll do it just 2. So both of you take your phones out.
Yeah.
You know the procedure, so just open them up, go to your calculator, and use the varied spread of the keypad again. Punch in a random single digit, and times it by another random single digit. And again, just make sure your thumb's jumping about. Times it by another random single digit. Times it by another one. Times it by another one, and if you want, you can do another one as well. And then press equals, and have a look at your totals. They'll be vastly different. So again, just add each of the singular digits up, but this time, I'll even show the camera this. This is what I think it is. If I got your number, just raise your hand. So I got yours. So I got yours. Just think about which one yours is at the 2 numbers. Okay, yours is 18. Yours is wrong though, right? Let me change yours. I'm going to change that out. I think we've got... What's your number?
27.
1827. And there it is. 1827. Yours is 18. Yours is 27. Proving that you can do with 2 people and it's repeatable.
So good.
That's great.
And I knew exactly which number were which person's as well.
So that's not phishing. You threw that wrong number in.
No, I genuinely at first felt that's what Oban had gone for, and then I changed my mind at the last second. And oh, sorry, what you'd gone for, and then I changed my mind at the last second, and ended up with that. It's cool, isn't it? It looks great.
Get it.
Okay, so you've got so many presentations, so many methods. As you're performing, and I say, what about this? And you go, oh, let me show you. And you've got like 10 more. And then we're looking at Dwayne, we're burning through memory cards. There's so much we could teach, so much we could cover. You know, they might have seen in the explanations I went on my phone when I started typing some things. I just made a note of a few things that I thought we could talk about because I don't want to take you out of your flow. So this is kind of a jam session. I guess we can all like float around with different ideas and stuff we have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the first thing for me was everyone, the 4 participants, making a pin code.
Should we actually talk? Because I don't think we actually ever explained. It's self-working, so it's a very quick thing, but a minute on it.
Yeah.
And it's and so basically you're getting somebody to get their calculator out, or 4 people to get their calculator out, and they times a single digit by a single digit by a single digit, and you do it a few times.
I'll do it for the camera.
Okay, so
a single digit, and I'll put in a 7.
Okay,
and times that by, and it could be anything.
So I say use a random spread of the keypad so that you're using a few different digits, and times that by another digit.
Yeah.
Times that by another single digit.
Yeah.
Times that by another single digit.
Yeah.
Times it by another single digit.
Yeah.
And times it by another single digit.
Yep.
And then press equals. So the hope is there that they're going to hit a 3 or a 9 at some point, and there's a massive statistical probability that they are going to, as you've just seen. Right, okay, so in this example, when you press equals, have you pressed equals already?
1, 5, 1, 2.
So this is the total. So what it'll do is it'll give you a multiple of 9. So I don't know if you pressed something that were wrong in there, but when you add these up, 5 plus, oh no, that is 9, sorry.
Yeah.
So what it'll do, I was just glancing at it from this side, I couldn't see, I thought there were an extra number underneath your finger.
Oh, no.
This will always equal 9, 18 or 27. And if you do something ridiculous, it'll go all the way up to 36, right? So the first question I ask is just add them together till you've got a double digit. If somebody says, I don't have a double digit, you say, okay, that's fine. But you'll see that this number will always total 9, 18 or 27.
Yeah, so if 1 plus 5 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7, 2 plus 7 is 9.
So let's just do this again, so you erase it out. Yeah. So, and genuinely do it randomly, a single digit times a single digit, 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 and if you want you can do one more. Just make sure you're giving them enough chance to hit the number and then press equals.
Yeah.
Right, so now when they add this up, if you were to add this up, so 5 plus 8.
Yeah, 13.
So then plus 9.
Yeah.
Which would be 22.
Yeah.
Plus 6. Which,
28.
and then plus 8.
36, yeah.
So 9, 18, 27, 36. It's a multiple of 9.
Yeah.
You see, so it's going to equal 9, 18, 27, and in extreme cases, which that just was, 36. It's never going to be higher than that.
But then 36, 3 and 6 together is 9. So you
That's
can always
it.
condense them
Well,
down
that's
to
what we did. So all those numbers, if you take 9 on its own, will be 9. If you have a single digit, that's fine.
Yeah.
So if we're doing it with the 4 people and you had a single digit and you just had a 9, I'd say, all right, whatever your single digit is, that's fine. If you've got a double digit, add the 2 numbers together. A 1 and an 8 is going to be 9. A 2 and a 7 is going to be 9. A 3 and a 6 is going to be 9. It'll always equal 9. Everybody has the number 9, right? So now when I write the numbers down, all I have to do is include the number 9 in there. I say I don't know what order I'm going to pick up these up on. I write down 2963. I lean back and I go, raise your hand if I got your number. And now everybody's going to raise their hand because they see the 9. That's it. Does that all make sense? It's super easy. It's self-working. Single digit by times by single digit times by single digit. They'll hit a 3 or a 9 at some point statistically. If somebody just hits 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, this is not going to work, right? But you've seen that every time we've done it, it does. So you've got a massively high probability that it's going to.
How you, because I picked up on it, being a magician. They said, you know, make it really random. Use the whole keyboard.
Keypad.
And it made me think of going around.
Different digits, right?
And that's it. And if you're so scared about this, I'd literally say, so take like a random digit, like a 2, punch a 2 in, times it by, say, a 9, times it by, in fact, you pick a number.
Yeah.
Times it by, and you mention the number 9 if you're so scared of it, and it's just going to equal 9, 18, 27 or 36, and then you move into this presentation. When I did it with 2 people, I just had them leave it as their 2-digit numbers and put them together.
Yeah.
And then just to quickly explain what happened, I assume that both people are going to think of 18. Always assume that both people are going to think of 18. But what I do instead is I write 18 and 43. So that's it. So I write 18 and 43. And now I look and I go, this is the PIN code that you created together. If you had your 2-digit number and you had yours, raise your hand if I got your numbers. So 2 people raise their hand. If they don't raise their hand there, I look at them, I change 43 to 27, and then it's bound to hit as long as I haven't been going ridiculous with the amount of maths. If I've been going ridiculous, I'd wager on the side on 36 here, and that's it. But it also allows me to turn around and go, this is your number, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, which subtly suggests it's different now. This is your number when I cross it out, correct? Bang. So is there any, I know we sort of sped through that, but is there any questions on it? Because it is really simple and self-working.
It's super simple, really deceptive. But the one thing that like jumped out to me, which I don't know if we caught in the explanations, but I thought like this is an amazing parlor piece. You could get people following along in the audience if you wanted to. But I thought of like one presentational idea, which is no one else knows that we're all on 9. So we're all on 9. So as a performer, you could literally turn to this guy and say, was that your number? And he says yes. And now I cross out 6. And I just go to Pete, was that your number? He says yes,
Always
and I
pointing
cross
at the
out
9.
2, and I'm always pointing at the 9. I say, was that your number?
Yeah.
You say yes, I cross out the 3, and finally, was that your number? And they say yes. So I'm...
And each person will be returning to their seat
yeah,
one at
so
a
it's
time
like,
as that's happening.
so to an audience, I'm never showing them which one I cross out as individuals, but to the audience, I show the audience that I got everyone's number, and then it's like another layer of deception where it's like, they must have all had different numbers because he crossed out every number.
Yeah.
That's it. And another way to do that, just to quickly, because that's great, that idea of crossing them out. Another way to do this is if you take a stack of billets and you write the number 9 on 4 cards and you place them face up here, like this, and you say, right, I'm going to try to get these, don't react. So now I place 4 cards down that are blank and the 4 9s are on the bottom here. I write 2 9 6 3 and I say, raise your hand if I got your number. So they raise their hand and I take these in a random order.
Yeah.
I put them there and I say, right, focus on what your number is, and I turn my hand over like this and I go, don't look at it just yet. I think that one's yours, so that'd have a 9 on it.
Yeah.
I think that one's yours, that'd have a 9 on it. I think that one's yours, that's yours. And as you're going to look at these one at a time, and if I got your number, you walk past the bin, screw it up and drop it in on the bin on your way past.
Yeah.
So you look at it, screw it, drop, you look at it, screw it, drop, you look at it, screw it, drop, and that's it. And that's all 4, everybody cleans it up.
That's great.
Thinking about it as obviously that's great for stage and everything, but I always used to perform
Close up.
close up at gigs and cocktail bars and stuff. So for me, I'd have gone straight to having a PIN code with a 9 in it on my phone. So you've got that extra little kicker at the end where you can reveal it that it's your
PIN code.
You know what you could do is you could say, I'm going to write down my PIN code. You could write down 2963, yeah? So you could say this is my PIN code. You give it, and your PIN code's just
9999. I was just about to say the same
so then you
thing.
could say,
Punch in your number, type in the number you're
punch
thinking of.
yours.
Yeah.
That's, I
And
thought
then you
that.
could show the audience that
I was just
you'd be
about
like,
to
that's
say
my PIN
exact same
code,
thing.
and they got it right and it's open.
So
Yeah,
just
so
to
the
explain that,
implication-
you change your PIN code to 9999. So now you have a digit, you have a digit, you have a digit, and you have a digit. I think that I'm going to start with you, put your number in there first, then pass it to who you feel it should go to, and then the last person.
Before you show the audience, you say, that's my PIN code that unlocks this phone. So now the audience is aware of 2963, but everyone else is not.
And then the phone opens and
Yeah.
bang, you can check it out. So these little touches are all things that you can do outside of what it is that you're going to do, right? There's also another little thing with this. So if you have the knowledge that it's going to add up to 9, 18 or 27, what you can do there is you can say, right, think of one of those numbers. So they do. what you can do there is you could say, right, think of one of those numbers. So they do. So you say, we'll do something slightly different with you. Think of one of those numbers. And now just call out the numbers you don't want. So now all they do is call out the numbers they don't want. And if it's above 9, you know it's going to be 18. And now you know how much it takes to make up 18, so you know their number. So let's say that it adds up to 15. You know you're only 3 away from 9, 18. And then you know they're thinking of the number 3. Does that make sense? So you're just calling out the deficit, whatever the amount is. So you can have them have different numbers. So like, for example, let's say that you all added numbers up and you ended up with a 2, a 5 and 2 ones like you did before. And I say to you, right, just show each other your totals. So you're showing each other the totals. Think of one of those numbers and now call out the numbers you don't want. And if there's any repeats of your number, call the repeat out, but it doesn't matter. So call them out. So imagine you had 5, 2, 1 and 1 and you thought of one of the numbers.
Okay, so think of 5.
So call out the numbers you don't want.
5, 1, 1.
Okay, so now I know 5 and 1 is 7.
Yeah.
So I know your number's 2.
Yeah.
And I go, but look, when you call out numbers, yours would be different. You call out the numbers you don't want.
Yeah.
So now you can call out the numbers you don't want, and now I know it's 2, 6, 4, 3, or whatever it is. And the deficit tells me exactly what numbers you're thinking of, and now you don't need to fail. So just to give you an idea, if you open your phone, so you can all see this, just to give you a practical example, because it might be impossible to follow, but type in a single digit, times it by a single digit, times it by a single digit, times it by a single digit, and one more and press equals. So you have a total there. Right, just everybody look at each other's totals, so you'd all show them, they're all different. And the numbers that you choose will be different to everybody else's. Pick one of those numbers.
Yeah.
Now call out the rest of the numbers in any order you want, and if there's any repeats, call the repeats out also, but don't call out your number.
4, 1, 1.
So think about that. You wouldn't call those numbers out, but I now go 4, 1 and 1 is 6. That tells me you're thinking of a 3.
Yeah.
So now I know what your number is, right? Because it's how many to get to the nearest multiple of 9. If you did the same and you were on 12, I'd know it takes 6 to get to 18, so that's your number. So now I can just figure out the actual pin code that everybody's using in this situation as well.
That could be like the first phase.
Well, you could
do that and then get them to add it up after, and then have another pin code.
That's it. You could think about this. Imagine you got somebody to add numbers up and they randomly times in numbers, and you had a dictionary on the table.
Yeah.
So you knew that it'd be page 9, 18 or 27. And you get them to pick the first word on the page. Now all of a sudden you can nail the word.
Well, but here's the other thing, is they don't know that they're all on 9. So you could know the 9th page, the 9th line, and the 9th word. So you could say, okay, flick to the page you're thinking of. They go to 9. Next, count down the number of lines that you're thinking of. They count down 9. And count, and show them the line. Show the next person the line. You count across the number of words you want. So they count over 9. So no, they don't know, but you've done like a perfect force.
And that's it. There we go. See, this is why these jam sessions are good,
Yeah.
right? You could even hand everybody the same book and ask them to sneakily peek at what the word is, the first word on the page.
Yeah.
And instead of writing down 2963, what you can write down is the one word that everybody's thinking of, and 3 words outside that nobody's thinking of, and say, if you see your word, take a seat, and now you can pick the most elaborate words that you want, and they're going to go take a seat as well. So it just allows you that option to open it up, do you know? And I think that's...
I guess the other thing you could do is, you could, because everyone's on 9, you could say, like, you get them all down to that single digit or whatever, you could memorize the first word on page 9, 18 and 27. So now when you go through it, you've got him down to a single digit. So you say, okay, you think of a word, the first word on this page that you're thinking of. You take it, this person's on 18 or 27. You think of that word, and now you've got 3 word divinations
that you can do in a moment's notice. Yeah. It just makes real simple sense to do it that way. Yeah. Another thing is, and again, I'm going to briefly mention this, and then I'm good to move on. I don't know about you guys. Is the old grey elephants in Denmark?
Yeah.
So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, which would be I. If you ask somebody to think of a country that started with that, it's going to be India or Indonesia, and then the last letter in that's going to be A, and you ask them to think of an animal, it's probably going to be an alligator or an aardvark. Right? Or you could think of something that's really restrictive to the letter A, And then you could use the old grey elephants in Denmark gig and say, I didn't know that there were many alligators in Indonesia. Do you know what I mean, or whatever? And you'd have to find better categories in those countries, but those force words, you could do a similar version of the grey elephants in Denmark by forcing that. If you had a name beginning with an I, and you said, I'll tell you what, think of a male name that starts with this letter.
You just give me an idea, which is like, you could confabulation the out of it.
So
you've got a force card at number 9. So position 9, let's say it's the King of Hearts. So you've got King of Hearts there. You've got a force word on the first word on page 9 of a dictionary is whatever, it's written down there. And then you've got the last number in your PIN code is 9. So, I don't know what your number is. I think it's the last number in my actual PIN code. So you type in 263 and you leave it one thing. Okay, type in the number you're thinking of. They type it in, boom, you've opened the phone. Second, deal down to the number that you're thinking of and remember that card, cool, and then you've got the prediction inside a wallet or an envelope. And then finally,
the book,
you're thinking of a word on any page. That was completely random choice. The word you're thinking of is...
Легко порадовать близких, даже когда они не так близко. Заказывайте то, что доставляет им радость. А мы доставим от 15 минут в городах по всей стране. Раз и радость близким. Самокат.
And that gives you a really beautiful ability to do it. Yeah. Now, just to say, sometimes what you're going to run into is the worry of people talking. If you're doing this PIN code divination in close-up. So this is exactly what you can do if you want to nail a PIN code. So let's say you've all arrived at 9, right? And I say, your number's random, yours is random, yours is random, and yours is random. But let's make it a little bit more random. With you, I want you just to say, take 1 off of your number. With you, take 3 off of it. With you, I want you to go right to the opposite end of the spectrum in the single digits. Okay. And with you, just keep it the same. So now you know that it's going to be 8, you know it's going to be 6, you know it's going to be 1, and then you'd know that there's going to be 9. So you can nail the actual PIN code by getting them to move up and down. Yeah. So that allows you to cleanly do that in close-up without the worry of people talking.
But I guess another thing you do is this. So you say, you know everyone's on 9. So you say, I think I've got yours, I want you to double it, and I want you to triple it. And so that so you know it's 9, 18, 27. So you get yours as 9. You say it might not be in this order, but does that make sense to you? And to everyone else, it could be 81. Is that, did I get your number? Yeah. And then the next one's 27. So you've got everyone's number tripled.
That's correct.
Could you add this to like an A-can? So where you put a certain card at like 9th, 18th.
That's how I did it originally in the very first version of this.
Oh,
so what I do is I'd either use the equivoque of the playing card, or the one where somebody thought of a number and then changed their mind and back to the Queen of Hearts, and then what I'd have is I'd have the Queen of Hearts and diamonds and the spade, so 9, 18, 27, and I can have the 4th one at 36 if I want. Then when I say, now you've arrived at a random number, what's the number? They'd give me the number, I'd literally run through the Queen force and just use the suit thing as an equivoque, so I just forced the suit that were at the relevant position.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So that was the original sort of version using the bank of the 4 queens. And so if you know the equivoque thing on this project, you remember that from years ago. I'd have the 4, I did it on Russ Andrews' Destination DVD set. And so they have the bank of the 4s in the 4 possible positions. And then you just get them, and let's be as random as possible. Now imagine never touching anybody's phone. You're going to change your mind, you're going to arrive at a random number, you've got a number in your head, you're changing your mind, it ends up being that card at that number.
Well, it makes sense in that case because if you're using a deck, you want to condense the numbers. So it makes sense, hey, why don't we just make the number smaller, add each digit together. So it actually makes logical sense.
That's it. Just to make sure this is not over 50, that's a great touch, that never made it on there.
Yeah. But what I was going to mention is that, what I love is, by the way, listening all your ideas, and I'm like, wow, these are all like solid gold. It's like, God damn it. But somebody mentioned earlier that it's a predetermined number, essentially. So if you're doing a prediction at the end of your set, this is like a stage bit, and then you're having that massive prediction, everybody's already confirmed that whatever that 4-digit number is correct. So you could add that to the final prediction if it could be, tied into a bigger thing.
Like the day's date. Imagine doing it on like the 9th of September. And so you put the full date laid out and you ask like 7 or 8 people to stand up simultaneously.
That could be an important year. That could be anything that you want, as long as I guess it has a 9 in it. right? It could be pretty much anything you wanted to give it to. You could have it on a coin.
Yeah. Great. I think we should move on to the
Yeah, I
next
think
one.
we should wrap up there.